Alright, Terrence Popp here with another episode from the Lair in regards to Redonkulous.com. Alrighty, I got some more stories here, but I want to give a little shout out to some of the craziness that's been going on of late in regards to all of this goddamn sexual harassment, sexual assault, all this other horse shit that's been going on with our government and Hollywood. After 10 fucking years, you know, if you're a woman and you haven't fucking come forward about some of these horrible things that have been done to you, if you wait like 20 or 30 years, anything beyond the 10 fucking years becomes a goddamn fairy tale. And how the hell is somebody supposed to fucking defend themselves against shit that fucking happened 20 fucking 30 fucking years ago or somewhere beyond that, you know? There's a statute of limitations for a fucking goddamn reason, my God. I mean, are we really gonna go here? Because, you know, this witch hunt bullshit, you know where this is going to lead if it's actually as successful as I think it's looking like it's going to be. In the future, say you have somebody who's conservative that you don't really agree with his fucking opinions and you want to get rid of him. He's doing well in the polls, everything's going fine. You find some stupid cunt bag who's willing to fucking make some allegation. She has nothing to lose because they're not going to do anything to her. Even if they did sue her, she has nothing to collect. You know, and if you sue her to the point where she lives in the street like what happens to most men, everyone will get upset, so that's not going to happen. So anyone can make an accusation, 10, 20, 30 fucking years old, start a fucking witch hunt, ruin people's careers, all kinds of crazy shit can go on, you know, on that accusation. And even if they prove somehow that it's a lie, they're not going to do anything to you. So what's the downside? There is none. So you're going to see the liberals out there basically trying to seize power and run the government through, you know, fear, intimidation, guilt, and sorrow. I mean, who the fuck? I mean, that's four bases of a losing game right there. I mean, come on. You can't run a government on those four things. Oh, wait a minute, you can if it's a fucking totalitarianism where you line people up in front of big fucking holes and you shoot them if they have any kind of dissent. Yeah, that's kind of what the Democrats want to do to the Republican side or the conservatives because they're already killing all kinds of babies which are innocent and, you know, they're defenseless, and then they're fucking forcing us to pay for it. And do you think they're going to have one iota of compassion for you if you're an adult on the conservative side? Fuck no. They're going to come up with some other kind of excuse to take away your guns, and once those are gone, put you in front of fucking pits and shoot you. Look, I'm digging up all kinds of... I shouldn't say I've dug up. I've been present while mass graves were dug up in Iraq. I saw the video footage that went on during the Saddam's time. It's fucking ugly. And if you think the liberal left isn't capable of doing this shit, then you need to go back and watch some of the tactics of Black Lives Matter, some of these Antifa protests. It's all about violence and control. Alright, I've said my piece about it. Actually, I got one more thing to say. Some of these women are like, oh no, we don't want to have a backlash against women for this fucking horseshit. Fuck you. There's going to be a fucking pretty powerful goddamn backlash. Because there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of people, especially who, you know, give jobs and help build the economy on the conservative side because they don't believe shit is free and they like to work for it. They're going to be like, why the fuck would I hire a woman in here and all she has to do is make some kind of crazy wazoo accusations and it's just cheaper for me to settle because for me to have a long protracted court battle costs me money. And they're not going to do anything to this bitch for saying this shit anyway. So why don't we just cut out the middleman and not even fucking hire him? Just don't. It's not worth it's just not worth it anymore. All the fucking bullshit, all of the goddamn, you know, it's just not worth it. You got to hire, you know, women now who aren't qualified, but you have a quota. You have a mandated amount you're supposed to hire people because, you know, the government's forcing this upon you. Even though a lot of them aren't qualified. If they are qualified, they're not willing to work the hours or fucking put in the sacrifices a lot of men do on the job. But then they bitch that they're not making the same amount of money. You know, I hate to be such a hardliner about it, but just look at what's going on right now. Just look. Okay, you have some of the icons of the Hollywood industry destroyed on accusations. Just fucking done. Destroyed. I'm not going to mention any fucking individuals' names in person. You can just look it up for yourself. Do I necessarily think that they're attacking some of these big icons in Hollywood is a bad thing? Yes and no. It's a clear indicator that the liberal left has ran out of targets, and they're starting to go after anybody that they can. And a lot of guys who were the power, controllers in Hollywood had penises, and there you go. One misconstrued sexual advance, or a bad pickup line, or some other shit that what the fuck are these men supposed to work as eunuchs? Fuck you. All right, I hope this blows up in the feminist face. I really fucking do. I hope this digs a hole so fucking deep they won't be able to dig out of it for 15 motherfucking years. Okay, now I'm done. All right, going back to some of my 9th ID days. This is another scuba story, and it's actually quite hilarious. So, we were going out to the herring pens, doing the red rock crab thing. We decided that we're going to do some spear fishing. They have the Hawaiian fucking sling, which is a big pole with the prongs on the end, and it's hooked up to a rubber band. You just pull it back, hold it, but it's basically for smaller fish. So I rent an actual spear gun, because at the end, at the herring pen dock, it's about 50 feet there, 50 feet deep, and you come in, somewhere between, 400 and 300 meters. There's a lot of structure, sunken boats and stuff, and we saw some pretty big groupers down there. If you don't know what that is, it's like a sea bass. Okay, just imagine a largemouth bass, but on steroids, a lot bigger. So, it's Saturday afternoon, and we're out there Friday night. We did our thing all day, and this is like our last dive for the day, and then we're gonna cut it off early and go home or go back to the barracks. I'd already gone through 1 cylinder of air. I'm halfway through this, so once I run out of air on this, I'm dry, and we're just going to pack it all up and go and call it a day. So I'm down at about I want to say somewhere between 20 and 30 feet. I usually don't like to go deeper than 30 feet because then you have to decompress if you stay down too long. And I'm not a big fan of having bubbles growing in my bloodstream and fucking me up for life, or possibly killing me. So I'm down there, and I'm by a couple of poles that go down off of the pier into the mud. Lo and behold, this fucking grouper comes around, and it looked pretty fucking big. I mean, underwater things look bigger. All right, so it looked like it was the size of like a fireplace hearth. That's fucking pretty big. So I fucking raised the spear gun, boom! I hit it like just 3 or 4 inches behind its eye, and down about 5 or 6 more inches, right in. It's a solid hit right below the spine, just behind the head. There's no way this thing is shaking it off. So it's there's a spear gun, and it's connected to a lanyard, and I'm like, oh, okay, the fish takes off. I'm like, okay, cool, he's gonna run out of gas anytime soon. No, that's not what happened. I'm like, what? And next thing you know, I'm following this fucking fish, because this fish is fucking taking off, and I'm like, holy fuck. He's taking me down. I'm looking at the fucking depth gauge. I'm like, okay, 35 feet, 40 feet, 50, 60 feet, oh fuck, 70 feet, 80 feet. I'm like, I already made up my mind. If it takes me to 90 feet, I'm gonna let go of the spear gun, and then I bought it. Fuck it. I'm not going beyond 90. But somewhere between 80 and 90 feet, it starts, swimming in the big circles, which means it's, basically running out of oxygen. It's gassed out, and, it is what it is. So I reel it back in, I get up on it, it's flopping a little bit, and it's a pretty good sized fucking fish, okay? When I actually grabbed it, it wasn't as big as I thought it was, but it's still, a pretty significant sized fucking fish. It's well within the limits. So I surface. My buddy's like, Bob, what the fuck? And I'm pretty far out there now. I mean, that fish took me out about additional 300 meters away from the shore. So I'm, 5, 6, 7, I'm about 650 away from the shore. It's over a quarter mile swim back. And I have this fish, and I grab it by its gill, and I'm fucking swimming back, and it is bleeding all over the place. And I'm like, holy fuck, I'm gonna get tore up by a great white shark or some other shit, because there are fucking pretty big sharks out there in the Puget Sound, and I really don't want to fuck with them. and I am in prime get fucked up by a shark territory, you know. Apparently the guys were with me. Ranger in the Sky brought me back. I came back to the fucking shore, gut it, we clean it, so we just have like the body, which, you know, without the head, it's about this big, okay? It is pretty big. It's all meat. And we put it in a tub in the back of the fucking car, and we didn't think it through. We're like, what are we gonna fucking do with this big fucking fish? I mean, I can't. I have no refrigerator to store this in the barracks. I'm like, what the fuck? We pack up our shit. We drive through on the way out. We have to drive, I think, through one of the Indian reservations. I think the Muckleshoots. I'm not sure. We stop and they have like a fish stand right there. So we stop. We're like, hey, you know, we've got this grouper here, and you know, we can't take it back to the barracks. You know, I just wonder if you guys want it. And they're like, the guy's like, fuck yeah, you know. So he calls all these people. They all come, and I didn't even know this was happening. It was like an impromptu fucking just big fish fry barbecue thing. They cooked up the fish. They cooked up a bunch of other shit. You know, we didn't leave there till like roughly 10:30ish that night because we had this big fucking shindig. We ate all this fucking fish and whatever else they had, and it was fucking awesome. And let me tell you, that grouper, that shit tastes fucking good, man. It's really good. So if you ever get a chance, go spear fishing, go catch some of that shit, eat it. I'm not really a fish guy, but right out of the fucking ocean, you're eating, you know, those fish steaks are awesome. Okay, number 2. All right, so when I got to Fort Lewis, you know, I'd been there 8 or 9 months. I finally got my car. But the Army back in the day, they didn't really have a good hand-to-hand combat thing. I mean, it's not like they have today where you have, you know, combatives 1, 2, 3, and people are learning jujitsu and shit like that. Now, a one-on-one, you know, the jujitsu shit is probably some of the best shit you could learn. But in the real world, in the dynamic world where rarely do just 2 people fight and nobody jumps in, are you going to be able to use that effectively? Now, you know, I'm not saying not to train in it. I mean, it's awesome. I've had my ass fucking worn out by a couple MMA guys on the ground. After it took them a while because I wrestled for 2 years, so you know they couldn't actually finish me right away. And by the time they could, you know, 20 to 40 minutes later, the cops would have been there 10 times over, or my buddies would have just kicked their fucking head in. You know, if it was like a situation outside a bar or something. But, you know, I recognize the fact that, you know, the hand-to-hand that we were learning is absolute garbage. It's just enough to get your ass fucking kicked. I'd taken martial arts, you know, in an indirect fashion from the age of about 16 till I left in the Army. So I decided that I was going to sign up for a karate school, but I was going to do it my way. Because I have absolutely no faith in the belt system. Katas are fucking bullshit. Okay, that shit doesn't teach you how to fight. It just teaches you the tools that you need when you do fight, but not how to use them effectively. You learn how to use the martial arts by engaging in hand-to-hand combat. You know, and I'm not talking about point fighting. I'm talking putting the gloves on, punching each other. You're going to get bruises, you're going to get fucked up, but that's how you learn the shit. So, you know, back in the day, the Hilltop, which was basically the ghetto portion of Tacoma, Washington. In fact, the Rangers had a shootout with the Crips or Bloods there in that same year or a year later. Yeah, the Rangers did like a year and a half later when I was there. That's another story, we'll get to that. But you can actually look that up. It did happen. So, the guy I went to, it was a school of Ishinru, probably the best one I could find. Had a lot of students. His name was Sensei Robert Edwards. I don't know if he's still there or not. If he sees this, great. I mean, the guy was great. Taught me all kinds of cool shit. But we kind of got off to a rocky start. Because I remember I went in there and he told me the deal. And I looked around and I was impressed. He had a lot of black belts. And a lot of them were very proficient. I could tell I was watching them do their sparring. And I basically said, listen, I don't want to do any katas. I don't want to learn any bullshit weapons that I'm never going to use. I'm not wearing that bullshit gi or whatever like that. I just want to come here 2 to 3 times a week and fight your guys. What's that going to run me? So he's like, you know, I can tell he's like this arrogant white boy motherfucker because everyone there is black. I'm like the only white guy in. There's like 2 semi-white guys there. One's, You know, I think part Latino, and the other one, I think he's Middle Eastern descent. I don't know. I don't remember his name. So he's like, $30 a month. We fight every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. He gave me a sheet with the times, and I'm like, good, no problem. I would go there every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday when I was, not in the field. And I would fight his guys from roughly 6 o'clock till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The first 3 months were pretty rough because I'm pretty sure he told all these guys, hey, this white motherfucker just wants to come in here and fight people. If he wants fucking heavy hand, give it to him. And that's exactly what I fucking got, man. I got the shit beat out of me for about 2 months. 2 months. And then you start learning their tricks, their defenses, what kicks work against certain positions, how, your combinations, how to keep your space, and most of all, how to earn respect from your opponent, because if you hit your opponent and you can't hurt him, he loses respect for your technique, and he just walks in and he'll do it all day. Because, when I fought professionally, that's what I fucking did. If you couldn't fucking hurt me, I would swat your shit aside so it wouldn't cut my fucking face, and I'd fucking crush you. And it took a while, and a couple of their second degree, third degree black belts were really fucking good. The only time I was ever rendered unconscious at that school, I was sparring the actual Sensei Robert Edwards. I think it was 6th or 7th degree black belt at the time. And it wasn't even a fucking headshot. He didn't really ever hit anybody in the face. Okay, he could, but he had so much control. He always pulled the punches to your face, but he'd hit you in the fucking body hard as fuck, kick your legs, punch you in the arms. Everything else is game. So he threw a fake. I fell for it, and I remember I stepped off to the right, and I opened up my entire midsection. All I saw him do was turn his fucking head, and it was a spinning back kick. It caught me right in the solar plexus. Knocked my shit out cold. In fact, when I woke up, it was like 6.5 minutes later. And they were like, we're about to call a goddamn ambulance because you weren't breathing, Pop. And I was like, holy fuck. It wasn't a blow to the head. It was I don't know, it was a body shot. I've never been, rendered unconscious from body shots. I've been stopped at some body shots, especially, blows to the liver directly are absolutely brutal. And if you want to survive one of those, you got to be in tip-top shape so you can take the hit and stay on your feet. Because you take the hit to the liver, your body wants to take you to the ground. It's instinct, and down there, that's where people get stomped and killed. I fought there my entire enlisted time, which is basically 4 years. I'd already been in the Army about a year since when I signed up, and I did an extension, so I was at Fort Lewis roughly 5 years. And when I was in the Ranger Battalion, I would run 5 miles in the morning, and then 2 times a week I'd go to the weight room, lift weights, between chow and about 4 o'clock-ish. That's when we're garrison. And you could hey, I'm going to go to the weight room for 30 minutes, and your platoon sergeant's like, fuck it, go ahead. And then I would go, on top of all of that, the road marching, the PT, all the fucking shit that Rangers made you do to stay in combat shape, I would go Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays and fight his fucking guys. So it got to the point, right before I left, I was 6 months out from ETS, I could fight everybody there. I remember doing 30 or 40 minutes straight against Robert Edwards himself. And I think he was a 7th degree black belt by that time. I don't remember exactly. I don't really keep track of that. But he was fucking great. Now I got to the point where, I was pretty much on par with the guy in a one-to-one combat kind of, stance, stand-up fighting. Not the weapon use and the other bullshit. I didn't want to know any of that shit. I learned how to fight with knives, with the Army and some other fucking nefarious weapons. But that's basically all my hand-to-hand. And then, when I got off active duty and I dropped down into the Special Forces Reserve, 12th Group, in 92, went to college full-time, and, I fought, semi-pro, pro-amateur, and later on professionally. Semi-pro and pro-ams are basically professional fights. It's just you go beyond, you go beyond 3 rounds. Usually it'd be 5 rounds. You fight in 5-round club fights. and you get paid for it. You wear headgear for semi-pro and pro-ams, but it's paper thin, and you're wearing 8-ounce gloves, so you might as well not even be wearing it. It's just to get around the regulations in regards to the way it used to be back in the day. Because back in the day, kickboxing was not regulated by the boxing commissioner in Michigan and most of the eastern half of the United States. It wasn't even on the books. It is now. I apparently closed that loophole. Okay, there's my final story. You guys are going to fucking love this one. I call this serial killer in training. Fucking cats. This story is creepy but hilarious. This is before I got a car, and I had a Saturday off, and I remember I'm coming back from chow in the morning, and this guy named Lee, that's only part of his name, it's not his whole name. He's like, hey man, let's go hang out, I gotta run some errands, and he had a truck, so I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go out. So, we roll out about 11 o'clock. These errands this guy ran, he would set out these little traps in feeding areas for fucking cats. He fucking hated them. I get in the car, we're driving, he opens a fucking beer, starts drinking it, which is, automatically a red flag right there. I was kind of like, oh wow, it's gonna be one of those kind of things, isn't it? And then you can just see his mood change, like these fucking cats, God. And he's just fucking going on about these motherfucking cats. They're fucking cats. Who cares? Well, apparently he did. So I remember we made like 3 or 4 stops, and actually a few more than that. And he would, he knew where he'd fucking put out these cans of tuna or put out other shit for the fucking cats to come eat. And he had like this, 10-22, or it's a 22 Magnum bolt action rifle. It wasn't long. He saw the stock down, but he would fire what's known as a CB cap. I think it's got basically a primer charge. Fires the 22, quietly, subsonic, but you only got maybe 120 feet worth of range. That's about it. And he'd be out there, fucking cat, you sons of bitches. He'd pump like 2 into it. I'm looking over at the guy going, you're fucking creepy, bro. And the whole day I'm like, hey, let's go back to barracks. I got some shit to do. He's like, nah, we'll get back just soon enough. So, we finally head back on to Fort Lewis. He drives onto on-post housing, right? This is on-post housing. We are now in Fort Lewis. Okay, I'm freaked out. And I'm just like, what are you doing? He goes, I gotta check on something. So literally, we go down this one road. It's got like a roundabout at the end. We come back, and he stops, and he's like, and he says, there's that bitch. And I look over, I'm thinking he's talking about some chick. But apparently, there is a white cat in its house behind the glass, and there's the curtains. Cats do that. They get on the window ledge between the curtains and the fucking glass. And I'm like, yo, Lee, it's in the fucking house, man. Come on. He's like, fuck that. Loads it up, and I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna get fucking arrested, and I'm gonna get arrested with a serial killer in fucking training. This is insane. So he shoots this fucking cat, like, right through the glass. He jumps up, the curtains come down, a fucking lamp goes over, and I'm like, oh my God, what a fucking psycho. And we drive off. We get back to the barracks, it's roughly, 9, almost 10 o'clock at night now. I'm like, oh, it's a great time. Yeah, you fucking psycho. I don't know what happened to that guy. I hope he's got over his issues, and I hope he didn't take it out on anyone else. But, every once in a while you come across some creepers like that, and you kind of go, what's this guy going to do in 20 fucking years? Anyway, that's my time, gentlemen. You have a good evening.